Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well, and today we're going to talk about DraftKings because yesterday there was a short attack from Hindenburg on these guys, and because of that a few guys asked me to talk about this subject, to talk about DraftKings, and also DraftKings is my biggest investment as well, so this one does matter to me quite a bit. So yeah, we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about the short report and everything like that. You guys, quite a few messages from Instagram on you guys talking about this. By the way, if you do want to follow my Instagram, it is in the description. But yeah, quite a few guys asked about this one, so here we go. So if you could, all I ask for is if you smash that like button, that'd be absolutely amazing. But yeah, Hindenburg brought out a short report on DraftKings. Even though it was titled DraftKings, there wasn't that much mention of DraftKings actually in the short report, which we'll get onto. But Hindenburg have kind of got a bit of a name for themselves right now. I think since they kind of brought the short report about Nicola out, when it turned out they were pushing the trucks down the hill and like filming videos going, oh, look at this amazing truck, and it turned out to be pushed down the hill. I think ever since then everyone's gone, oh, Hindenburg, they're the ones that talked about Nicola. These guys can be right all the time. They've still kind of got a bit of a patchy track record. Sometimes they do get it right, sometimes they do get it wrong. I think obviously one of the latest ones was Lost Time Motors, which was looking at what's been especially going on the last kind of few days really. I keep thinking about making a video on that. That turned out to be true, but there's plenty of other stocks as well which they haven't kind of worked out for them. But the big thing that people always have to remember when a lot of these like short reports, Hindenburg bring out a lot of these short reports, short attacks, is that they are doing it to make money. They're not kind of bringing out these short reports to kind of go, oh, we don't want any of you guys to lose money, so just to let you know, this company is doing this that could be wrong. Like, whenever they bring out short reports, they always take a position very shortly before bringing the report out. And then when they bring the report out, then they get the gains to do it. They always time it exactly before the market opens, cause a lot of panic, stock goes down, and then either they sell the company or anything like that. So these guys are out here to make money, and they're not doing it from a point of view of like, the good for us guys, good for investors, we want to save your money. They're out here doing all this to make money, and that's the big thing you've got to remember. We'll argue a little bit towards the end of the video whether we think this is right or wrong. But yeah, that's the big thing you've always got to remember with these sort of situations. And also something that I thought was really funny and which stood out to me, and I don't know if this is just an error on their point of view, but Hindenburg normally, when they have a new short report, they have the list of previous short reports they brought out, and for some reason DraftKings, if you actually went onto the website, you actually can't find the report on the website. It's a bit tricky to actually find the short report, and I thought, well, it's really weird that normally when you do a short report that it goes on the main website, but this one, I personally, I think it's just because it was just so just a load of rubbish really put together that they kind of thought, yeah, we need to make some money, but it's probably not one of our best ones, so don't put it on the main site. And I don't know if that was what they were thinking, but that's what it seems to look like from their point of view, which I thought was a little bit funny from that. But share price wise, the share price took a big massive drop on when the short report came out, and then as the day went on, the share price actually put a bit of a recovery in. So there was a lot of people taking this opportunity to buy the dip. There was also a lot of big backers that DraftKings have that actually came out and supported DraftKings. Personally, for me, I didn't actually buy any shares yesterday. If I did, I probably wouldn't be saying that. I would kind of keep that on the Patreon. But yeah, I didn't buy any shares yesterday. Not because I was like, oh, this short report has kind of like made me question DraftKings. Basically, it came out at like 1:30 or something, and I was just like teaching all the way to like 4:30. So by the time like I actually saw this short report and then saw that DraftKings was down, it was like 5 o'clock, and the market had already been open 3 hours and the recovery was already happening. So yeah, I kind of like missed the whole drop really in the whole short report action, which kind of sucks. Sometimes work gets in the way of a couple of things, but hey, I'm sure so you guys did take the advantage, and I already have a nice position in DraftKings anyway. But if it was 2:30 and I knew this was happening, I probably would have bought some. So if you did, I think it was probably a good move anyway. But yeah, basically the short report was about DraftKings, but really in the short report, I was actually thinking about, do I do this? Sometimes when a short report comes out, I kind of do a screen recording and then go down the whole like short report and kind of like put my thoughts on every kind of comment they make on it. But today I just thought, I just think it gets a bit boring if I'm like talking it and I'm just like reading it at you. I just think it's kind of boring me just reading the short report through and everything like that. So yeah, I thought, we'll just go to the whiteboard, but if you do want to read the short report in full, then go read it. But I just thought I'd pick the key points out about this one rather than reading it. I just think it's so boring. But anyway, back onto this. The whole short report was supposed to be on DraftKings. Realistically, it wasn't really on DraftKings. The most of this short report was actually on a company called SB Tech. Now, some of you guys might know, might not know this. Basically, when DraftKings came public, they came public through obviously DraftKings, the SPAC, and also the merger of SB Tech. And this all came together at one. So a little bit different from a lot of normal SPACs because these guys actually came with DraftKings. Now, the reason why that happened is SB Tech kind of they're a bit like Gang. If any of you guys obviously know Gang from my channel, is like they're kind of like a platform to help you come online rather than using other providers. And obviously that lets DraftKings come a lot more like vertically integrated and helps their platform develop as they go on. So that's the reason why DraftKings went with SB Tech, just like how other platforms WinBet kind of use like Gang, whereas DraftKings use SB Tech. So that's kind of something that they kind of, and that's what we've heard a lot on the earnings, like with the vertical integration that's going on. But the short report wasn't on DraftKings, it was a lot on this SB Tech that they merged with. Now, a lot of what was in the short report was also prior to 2018. And in 2018, SB Tech kind of broke away with another company, which was BTI or Cortec. So these were so basically SB Tech and BTI Cortec kind of like split away in 2018. So basically, DraftKings, the company that was mainly mentioned in the short report, you got DraftKings, and then there's the company they kind of merged with, which was SB Tech, and then the other company, which is BTI Cortec, which a lot of the short report was based on. So basically, you're kind of not even on DraftKings, you're not on the SB Tech, you're on BTI Cortec. So this the short report was basically on a company that's linked with a company that merged with DraftKings, that then merged with DraftKings. And it kind of got a bit blurry, like where exactly this is kind of connected to DraftKings, because a lot of this was not even to do with DraftKings, it was to do with a company that they merged with, and even then the short report was on a company that separated from this company a while ago. And so it's very confusing how close this is linked with DraftKings. It's not really completely done with DraftKings, and that kind of leads me to the big point on a lot of this, what was in this short report. Basically, if I just jump down one, a lot of it was kind of placed on black markets. So black markets is the point of view of like what was happening is people were using SB Tech, and then they were using SB Tech's platform to set up their, whatever their betting platform was. And then basically they were going on to markets which weren't allowed, which was, that don't allow gambling, like some parts I think most of China doesn't allow online gambling. And there's a couple of other countries as well that don't allow online gambling. Basically, these were kind of, in these black markets where it isn't allowed and operating. Now, the thing is how far do you go back to that? A lot of this was like prior to 2018. There were some ties that it could be a little bit still going on, but basically a lot of this was tied to other platforms that were using SB Tech that wasn't even really done with DraftKings. And even when we kind of looked through the short report, there wasn't really any kind of evidence that had proof of revenue coming in from this platform, through this platform, into DraftKings revenue. So the whole kind of thing was like, how far do you go back? And the thing as well as with DraftKings is like DraftKings bought this platform SB Tech, but the thing is when DraftKings would have bought SB Tech, DraftKings would have done their own like due diligence into like this company and would have researched it, and they would have not found anything. And as well as that, anything prior to the merger, SB Tech would be more liable to that, whereas DraftKings would have been like, by then it's merged with the company and it wouldn't be actually tied to DraftKings. So there was a lot of thing going on here where there's zero proof. There was kind of like, it's kind of one of those situations where like, let's say you own a pub and then there's some bank robbers that are planning to like, rob a bank, and they come into your pub every week and they kind of plot it out when they come into your pub, and the next week they go rob a bank, and then they kind of chasing them back down and they go, oh, but your pub was where they were meeting every week and kind of discussing these plans and to rob this bank. Like, just because you own the pub where these bank robbers were meeting every week and pulled off this massive heist, it's not your fault that you're not involved with that situation. And it's very much like this. It's like, the ties to DraftKings are just really non-existent. And a lot of this, even then, was with the other platform, which is SB Tech. A lot of this is through other platforms and through this company here, which is just no connection to SB Tech. You could in the short report, it goes on to say that there was a couple of ties with like, near office spaces, and there was people like moving from one company to the other company and everything like that. But it doesn't matter, as long as the companies are different registered companies. That company cannot be tied to this company at the end of the day, and that's when a lot of this short report breaks down. And same with the SB Tech side of it. When you the ones that was linked with DraftKings, there wasn't really any proof of that being linked. And overall, for me, there just wasn't, like, the short report wasn't even based on DraftKings. Like, DraftKings actually like was only mentioned like for one whole paragraph in the whole short report, and there was just no proof at all. And for me, it was just a very poor short report. And I think that's probably why they just didn't put it on the market. I think it was just a bit of a short attack. And the other two things that go on about in the short report is the valuation. That's not anything to do with a short report. You can't say, I could go Coca-Cola's overvalued, but that's not going to cause anything. Like, that's just my opinion, and that's their opinion. And same with the insider selling. If I go, it's a corrupt company because the insiders are selling, it doesn't matter. The reason why people in DraftKings are selling because it's gone public and the shares have gone up over like 600% since they went public. That's why they're taking profit, just like me or you would do. And that was just a load of rubbish. Overall, like, it was a really poor short report. Like, in my opinion, it was probably I would go far as saying the worst short report I've read. There was just nothing in there that it was just awful. And even if I went to the worst case scenario, DraftKings aren't going to get affected by it. The biggest thing is this SB Tech, and even then I don't think it's in any problem at all, because of it's now merged in with DraftKings. So I generally think it was just a load of really poor garbage put together. So overall, what do I kind of think of shorts in this short report? Well, like I said, I think I'm not worried about this at all. I think it shouldn't even have sold off. I think even Hindenburg were a little bit embarrassed putting this out, and that's why they didn't put it on the website. And my opinion in short reports is that they do have some sort of credibility, because if we are honest, the SEC are useless. Like, we've witnessed this over the last kind of 12 months. We've seen so many things that the SEC should have pulled up on and they haven't done, and it's a question of like, what are they actually doing, because they just don't seem to be doing anything. The clear signs of like, Workhorse, Lordstown Motors, certain people on YouTube as well tied with them sort of companies, and the SEC have just not got involved with that. I mean, it's a question of like what they're actually going to do, and like, unfortunately, like Nikola, if it wasn't for like Hindenburg, Nikola might still be kind of getting away with what they're doing right now. And so in my opinion, shorts do have a place, because some companies that are like, quite corrupt companies would still be kind of operating if it wasn't for these short reports, because the SEC is so poor. My kind of other opinion though is that, people like me and probably people like you watching this video, the amount of times that we can kind of get caught up and like, Hindenburg only brought this out to make money. Like, the actual short report on DraftKings, it's not even a short report on DraftKings. I've got to stop saying it's a short report on DraftKings. It's not. This sort of stuff is just really poor because it just affects me and you. And a lot of the stuff in here are just really false claims. And it's like, they're just, it's just that with Hindenburg, sometimes they can do short reports which are really detailed. And you like look at it and you go, oh, that's not actually quite good. When there's clear evidence of that, then you're like, okay. But the reports like this sort of stuff is just like, it's just a hit and run. Like, it's literally like, just get the share price down 10% and we take a short position and sell out and make some money. Like, this sort of stuff is just hit and run stuff. And this is the sort of stuff that I'm like, is wrong with short sellers. Sometimes they do have the perks in the stock market. Like, they do actually see a few things and call it out and they're correct. But there's other situations like this where it's just totally wrong. And it's like, they just kind of, they just bringing hit reports out to make money for themselves. And it's like, realistically, this is kind of like, this is wrong. And this should be controlled a lot more by the SEC. Like I said, I don't know how they'll control it, because you have the times where they can be right, but there's the times they can be wrong. I mean, realistically, if we're being honest, if the SEC were on top of things, they would be picking out these things without the need of short reports. So I guess it kind of comes down to them not being great either. So it's difficult. I mean, let me know in your opinion what you think about all this whole situation. In my opinion, I think it all goes down to the SEC not being on top of things as what they should be. But this sort of thing, I get really frustrated by this because this is a clear hit and run. But the other times, there is reason for them to be here because, we'd still be believing Nicola driving trucks down hills if it wasn't for these guys. And it's a difficult situation. So let me know in the comments what you think anyway. But overall, what I was trying to say about this whole piece is that, the short report even about DraftKings in general. So overall, I'm totally not worried at all. And I think the drop was way, way over dramatic. And we'll see what happens overall. But I've not changed my opinion one bit on DraftKings. Really happy to still hold this one. So smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video.